What's going on, everyone? I'm Tommy Sotomayor, and here is another one-on-one live. And I have my man, fellow controversial YouTuber and author, White Girl Bleed a Lot, and various other books that you guys need to go check out. And he's considered like myself. I guess you have two racists. You got a black racist. But the thing is, it seems like what we have is people who tell the truth in America are being shunned for it. Now, whether we agree or disagree on certain ideologies, we do agree on the idea that certain things need to be called out. So I have my man, Mr. Colin Flaherty, on with us today. How you doing, Colin?
Proud to be on with a fellow truth teller. And I always remember, of course, what Thomas Sowell says about the definition of a racist. There you go. A racist is, of course, anybody winning an argument with any conservative winning an argument with a liberal.
And it's true. And it's funny that you brought up Sowell, and I have a stack in front of me. This was not planned out, guys. He did not say this and say, hey, get these books. I literally have them in front of me. And I look at the idea of truth. It should be the thing that makes you uncomfortable. Why do you think in America, because what we're talking about today is race, and we're talking about the riots and things around it. But let me ask you, why is it that liberals are typically uncomfortable with a non-black person saying a truth about a black culture, environment, or situation?
Well, I don't know, but I'm not that good on some of these big questions, but I can make this observation. The whole idea of race in this country is surrounded in secrecy. So the psychiatrists say we're only as sick as our secrets. And so there's a whole secrecy around me. My area, of course, is racial violence. So I talk about how black and white crime and black mob violence, black criminality is wildly out of proportion, and how reporters and public officials ignore, deny, condone, excuse, and encourage it. And so that's a huge secret. I don't know why it's a secret, but it is. And whenever you have secrecy, the psychiatrist will tell you what happens after that.
Now, people wonder what it is that you're trying to do. And they're like, why do you concentrate on our people? Why don't you concentrate on your own? Can you explain to the people who keep making this argument what it is you're doing and why?
I know, I get that a lot. I always answer the same way. Colin, why do you concentrate just on black violence and crime? I say, well, why did Willie Sutton rob banks? That's a very famous question, right? Very famous answer. That's where the money is. And so I concentrate on black violence because it's so wildly out of proportion. But the crazy thing about it is how many reporters and public officials are in denial, deceit, and delusion about it. That to me is really what illuminates my coverage.
Are they in denial, or because what my approach from it is, these people are making money off of this. They know it exists. They know it's not true, because even those so-called liberals who love black people and say there's no difference, they're just economically disenfranchised, they won't go move into those neighborhoods to prove that they're not that violent.
That's such a transparent and true thing that we can't say it enough. So, when we talk about black violence in black neighborhoods, and if somebody wants to, right now, the big buzzword is, black neighborhoods are over policed. So if we took the police out of that neighborhood, black neighborhood, put it in a white neighborhood, we get the same results. I mean, this isn't a fringe philosophy. This is stuff people are saying on Capitol Hill.
Yep.
And I mean, I hear people saying that, but I don't hear people moving down there. I mean, because if you live in a $500,000 house now, you could get a lot more house for $50,000 there. So I mean, it's like somebody giving you $450,000 that you're leaving on the table. Anyway, there's so much hypocrisy. There's so much. What's the step after hypocrisy? Delusion. There's so much delusion out there. And so what I try and do is I don't do causes and solutions. I'm just trying to hit the speed bag one after another. Boom, 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 boom. Till at some point, I just wear you down with too many facts, too many videos, too many victims, too many 911 calls, that you basically have to say, then there's something crazy going on here. I'm not even really sure what it is, but there's something going on.
Yeah. And I want to ask you about the way the liberals, because I said one of the worst things that happen to black people is white guilt. How do you stay from falling in white guilt? Because it's pushed, and I watch it, and I watch the comments in your section. People are trying to push you to have the same white guilt, to have the empathy towards the person who's doing the killing, the person who's doing the robbing, instead of just, all you do is frame what you just saw. Why is it that more whites can't back away from white guilt?
You know, that's the question of the day. But I know that when I have empathy for people, I do not have empathy for the people bunking people on the head. I have empathy for the people getting bunked on the head. I have zero empathy for criminals and people that commit violence. Zero. And so I don't understand the people that I don't understand the people that come at both of us, Tommy, with these really long, complicated explanations. And it's like, I've already heard these before. We've been saying them for 50 years. You really think you're going to tell me something that all of us haven't heard 100 times and hasn't failed 1,000 times? And they look at you like, no, I just made this up. I mean, that's a crazy level, especially like these city councilmen in these small cities. Each one of them thinks they're like some kind of genius, and they're, hey, why don't we give the kids some basketballs and they can play basketball at midnight? Okay, whatever.
I love it when they tried that. They say, well, if we allowed them to play basketball all night, they wouldn't go out and steal. And I was like, what? They wouldn't commit crimes because they'd be so preoccupied with these balls. And I just kept thinking, why don't black people notice that they're being, and I'm going to go to what Robert Pettinger said, the congressman out of North Carolina. Black people should realize they're being treated like they're not smart enough to understand and to be civil. And that's what the liberal left is doing. Why do you think this is something that would get this man called a racist when nothing he said was incorrect?
You know, that's the flip side of the white guilt question. I don't know why so many black people are so eager to have these white liberals declare them as victims. I don't understand that. All I can do is call it out. And, you know, you're talking about that congressman from North Carolina. I mean, this is something I picked up from Jesse Lee Peterson when I was on his show years ago. He you know, if you look at his videos, that's his theme is, hey, white people, there's a lot of black people out there that don't really like you. And a lot of white people spend a lot of time looking inside themselves, right? We want to squeeze out that last molecule of racism when a lot of black people are not having that discussion. You look at all the, you know, Ebony, Jack, the Griot, HuffPo Black Voices. Nobody's having this discussion about black racial hostility when it's so easy to see on every mainstream channel. The other day I was watching, what's his name, D.L. Hughley, with he's on with Chris Cuomo in the morning on CNN. Chris is having this very earnest discussion with this, you know, big brain D.L. Hughley, who's actually a jerk. But he's sitting there talking about Rudy Giuliani, calling Rudy all sorts of names. Then at the end, he drops the big one. He goes, why would anybody want to listen to this old white dude? I mean, this is now, so this black and white racial hostility is mainstream. That is, it's unremarkable. And I think that's a remarkable thing.
Right now, we have the ability of a black congressman. If he said white people don't like us, he would have never had to apologize. As you stated, if D.L. Hughley was able to say this, no white person, no white television personality would have ever been able to get on television and say, no one's going to listen to this old black dude. And he could have been talking about a black dude who said some off the wall, ridiculous stuff. He would have been immediately considered racist. You talked earlier about what's going on with a person who shares your same first name, Colin Kaepernick. Colin Kaepernick made a stand, and the liberal left and others like them, the social justice warriors, are going around saying, well, check this out. He should have freedom of speech. No repercussions should come of this man nor his job. But you talked about another man in which something actually did happen to his job because he spoke. Please enlighten us on this.
Well, he's just the latest. I documented a couple of dozen this year people who have raised their eyebrow at the wrong time and the wrong way at Black Lives Matter, and they've been fired or suspended. Latest example is this case out of Seattle, right? The catcher, he said Black Lives Matter is a bunch of thugs and Obama's a clown. Boom, he got fired from his job. I don't care if anybody else calls suspended. A few weeks ago in Baltimore, a police lieutenant sent a message out to his members of his union calling Black Lives Matter thugs. he got suspended for 2 weeks from the job for telling the truth about racial violence and Black Lives Matter being nothing but a bunch of thugs. So to me, it's very transparent. I don't know how the baseball team has the nerve, to tell you the truth, to fire a guy for saying these things when everybody else is saying same things he's saying, and getting patted on the back, except, just flip the races around. So we're living in a strange time where, I'm dividing up the world into truth tellers and non-truth tellers. That's why, I want to be on your side on this truth telling thing.
Yeah, and we get along. And even if, like you said, ideologically, we don't always see eye to eye on a lot of things. Because there was one video you did in which I didn't agree with it. It was, you were talking about, and I can't exactly remember.
I've only made 2,000 videos in the last 12 months.
Right, and I'm trying to figure out exactly what it was. I know it was one where I was going to make a reply, but I said I'm not, because if I make a reply, people are going to take it as if we hate each other or there's some kind of beef. When just intellectually on this issue, I didn't agree. When there was I think it was a mixed woman and a black man, and the black man killed her in a relationship. Yeah. And you were saying, well, this is kind of what happens when you get in a mixed relationship. And I'm like, well, if you notice, a lot of these relationships when white on white, if you take away dude's ability to see his kid, Scott Peterson, the other Peterson who killed 3 of his wives, that's actually something that's really prevalent amongst whites, where they're murdering their spouses, because we don't even get married enough to murder a spouse. So it was kind of like, I was like, I don't think it's a stretch on that one. What were you trying to convey?
I was, have you ever had Crystal and Karazin on your show?
I refuse to have that fool on my show. She cried because a white man said he believes white men should date white women, and she had a fit and called the guy racist.
Yeah, and so I've been on her show a couple times, and she's been on my radio show a couple times. She has a book I read, and so I was on her show once, and she had all of her audience on the air with her. So I was saying, and we talked about that. So she was the one I got it from her book about how the level of violence in interracial relationships, black man, white woman, is a lot higher. So I tell you what, it's not really my big area. That I'm not really good at explaining stuff. I'm just the guy I'm the guy looking at the car crash and going, right, there's a car crash over there. Why is everybody trying to tell me there's no car crash?
Well, that's why I said, well, I'm not going to do the video, because like you said, there have been plenty of videos in which I did them, and then I came back with more information and said, well, my initial thought might have been wrong, but as an intellectual, I think you should be able to do that. You should be able to go back and say, I might have messed that one up. I screwed the pooch on that one. Because like you said, you've done 20,000 videos. For someone to pick out the one that they disagreed with, that kind of proves that you're right on a lot of other stuff if they have to pick out the one. But
I tell you, that doesn't bother me. I don't like it when people cuss me out and call me names, because I would rather have somebody say, Colin, here's what you said. Here's the truth. Here's what you said. We get very little of that, Tom. I would say probably we both get the same kind of criticism, which is you're a bad person, I'm a bad person, and that's pretty much it.
Now, what's been going on right now? The biggest thing in the news right now, all over the news, violence. The violence that's going on in Charlotte. It's moved to Atlanta, which I don't understand. This is all going on because there's a second shooting in less than a 7-day span of a black male and white police officers. What is your take on the Oklahoma shooting? We're going to deal with them each one. What is your take on the Oklahoma shooting, where the man was walking with his hands up? The woman has now been charged with first-degree manslaughter. What is your take on the whole incident?
I don't really have a strong take on that. I saw it, and I don't have anything other than what it seems. I know the woman's been arrested. I mean, I'm never going to sit here and say all cops are perfect. I didn't really look at the video that carefully. Was he lunging for something in the car? So I mean, Trump didn't like it, so whatever.
And we'll get into politics a little bit later. But the situation is a stark contrast to what's going on in Charlotte. Charlotte, there was a man, Mr. Scott, and he was shot. His wife's video has been released, but the police refused to release the video so far. Here's my thoughts, and I want to hear if you agree, disagree, or what. The police are refusing to release a video. The city is burning down. The people are saying, we want to be pacified by seeing what you see. They say the video vindicates the police, but they refuse to release it. Don't they have some culpability with everything that's happened based upon the fact that Tulsa shows released the video, nobody rioted, nobody had a problem. North Carolina has riots going on, and they refuse to release a video that they say exonerate their cops. Do they not have any culpability in what's going on?
Yeah, they absolutely do. And the strongest thing I heard anybody say on this is, well, why do you have the videotapes? You know, why are the cops wearing the cameras if you're not going to release them? I mean, hey, welcome to the 21st century, people. Release the videos.
Now, isn't it strange, though, that blacks aren't bringing up that the chief of police is himself